He did say
Politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you.
Illuminati, you've come to take control. You can take my heartbeat, but you can break my soul. We all shall be free.
Well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. But say what you want about America, land of the free, home of the brave. We got some dumbass motherfuckers floating around this country. Dumbass motherfuckers. You know? Yeah. Now, obviously, that doesn't include this audience. I understand that. You seem intelligent and perceptive, but the rest of them, holy jumping fucking shitballs. Dumber than a second coat of paint. And this ain't just ranting and raving. This ain't just blowing off steam. I got a little evidence to support my claim. It just seems to me that only a really low IQ population could have taken this beautiful continent, this magnificent American landscape that we inherited. Well, actually, we stole it from the Mexicans and the Indians, but hey, it was nice when we stole it. It looked pretty good. It was pristine. Paradise. Have you seen it lately? Have you taken a good look at it lately? It's fucking embarrassing. Only a nation of unenlightened half-wits could have taken this beautiful place and turned it into what it is today, a shopping mall. A big fucking shopping mall. You know that? That's all you got. That's all you've got here, folks. Mile after mile of mall after mall. Many, many malls. Major malls and mini malls. They put the mini malls in between the major malls. And in between the mini malls, they put the mini marts. And in between the mini marts, you got the car lots, gas stations, muffler shops, laundromats, cheap hotels, fast food joints, strip clubs, and dirty bookstores.
Doctor's orders, get some rest. This hocus pocus diagnosis got you focusing on stress. These politicians ain't no better fit the description of the devil. Grab your pistols and get ready, cause they're trying to play Geppetto. Yeah, they're trying to pull the strings, have us jumping through the rings, but they treat us like we're property. We're fucking human beings, man. Things are not the way it seems. Rarely see the American dream, cause it's more like a nightmare. Fight fair. Yeah, I'll do that when a vote counts. Yeah, I'll do that shit when they don't doubt. Until then, we're all anonymous on a mission, going all out.
Illuminati, you've come to take control. You can take my heartbeat, but you can break my soul. We all shall be free.
You've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Illuminati, you'll never take control. Your new world order will lead to none at all. We all shall be.
Audio Jungle.
Okay, keyboard kamikazes, this is Shadow Radio, episode 22, coming to the airwaves here, to your iPod, your iPad, to your podcast, to your computer, to your speakers, to your even Windows media player, on April 20th, 2016, with the No Bullshit episode. That's right, everyone. If you're tired of the bullshit like me, if you're tired of the bullshit that you hear every single day from politicians, from everybody else, even from those pesky internet trolls, this is the show for you. We're going to be discussing news, of course. We have a lot to get to since our last episode, March 1st of 2016. Stay tuned here, listen to the things, and as I am talking right now, we're looking at the voting system here, 67% to 33%. Would you listeners like to hear the drama or only technology? Well, 67% gets the drama update, so I guess what we're going to do here is we're going to put that nonsense at the end of the show for a little bit of entertainment, but let's get to the important things first, my rant. And like I said, it's time to tell it like it is. You know, on any social network, you'll run into a steaming bowl of ball sweat, mostly with their own agendas. And when I say ball sweat or bowl of ball sweat, that's basically a colloquialism to those internet trolls who have nothing more than a political agenda. But there's other ones with other agendas, and we'll move on that. So stop giving these fucksticks, assholes, dipshits, dumb shits, ass pirates, anal archaeologists, toll bags, mongrels, naysayers, fucktards, political activists, jackasses, pricks, cocksuckers, dickheads, sons of bitches, assheads, asswipes, idiots, jerks, pill garlics, prigs, and schmucks. The time of day. We see every time, everywhere you go, don't feed the trolls. But sometimes when you're compiling code like me, or you have some other things to do, it just gives you a little bit of entertainment to see what they're going to say, also for research. So if you could find any other colloquialism that comes to mind that sufficiently will define those who constantly erode the internet and social media, turning it into a cesspool of nonsense, bullshit, and whatever else you want to call it, who knows? Don't feed them. They're just a bunch of uneducated nobodies, and we've talked about this for quite some time. You know, uneducated people rather are really a problem when it comes to this, and I don't say that just out of ignorance or whatnot. If you take a look at the United States, take a look at our educational system, we're pretty much down there on the pegs. We used to be a pretty decent country when it comes to the intelligence in our school systems, but they've eroded too, along with everything else. So we're going to start off here a little bit with, that's my rant, so let's just move on. Let's start out with a little bit of announcements here. Give us a call here on Shadow Radio at 818-280-9410 at any time. You can leave a message if you'd like to be on the show, or you could talk to Shadow live. You can also text us at 352-474-2369. That, of course, is for United States listeners. Out of country, other listeners, probably be better if you just recorded yourself and sent me that in email. The next thing we want to look at here and tell you is to check out shadowradio.com/shadow-radio. shadowsgovernment.com/shadow-radio. And it's all the latest show updates, notes, and downloadable content. Interestingly enough, we also have the new SLC Shadow Library client coming out, written in Python, open source, and you can check out Shadow's Python programs, and they are for teaching at shadowsgovernment.com/shadow-python. Those applications are quite simple, so I don't want to hear anyone coming back to me and saying, well, those programs are so simple. Well, I don't see you posting anything, so get off my case and bend over. Next important fact is the systematic deconstruction of modern society by the criminal justice system, written by yours truly, Shadow, coming out here next month, probably the first or in the middle, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be posted definitely on shadowsgovernment.com and information security. So, as I've said, the largest security risk, and this is something that I want to talk about to the United States, is the infrastructure of our country, and that goes with the power grid, the traffic systems, and any other system that's antiquated that hasn't been updated in 50 to 60 years. So this is a very, very dangerous topic. There has been some books on this, but I want all those information security people to check that out. Check out some books on that stuff. And, the next thing before we get to the news here is that I want to talk about is, of course, the biggest idiotic, moronic thing, and I hate that I have to do this on the show, but how to be fake anonymous. Now, if you look at the Pontifex Maximus edition 2016, How to Be a Fake Anonymous for Dummies, you can see all the things that I've listed there on what it takes to be fake. Now, you don't have to put an icon on your Google Plus profile saying that you're anonymous. Okay, being anonymous doesn't mean that you have to announce to the world that you're anonymous. That's just a complete contradiction to what anonymous really is. And if we define that on the dictionary, the basically second definition from dictionary.com is of unknown name, whose name is withheld, lacking individuality. So if you get together a group of people and get some silly 88 8-person community together and think that you have something going, that's just completely ridiculous. You don't need to put that on your shoulder to be some anonymous. You want to be anonymous. You don't want anyone to know. The whole idealistic version of being anonymous is not to have anyone know. This goes into the whole psychology of wanting to belong to a group. And it's called group dynamics. And if you look into the the psychological views of social dynamics in groups, you'll see that a lot of people will do things in groups that they wouldn't normally do by themselves. So the necessity for these fake anonymous groups out here is to give yourself, one of the things on my photos here for the how to be fake anonymous is to give yourself an inflated view of yourself or self-importance. It gives people the energy to think that people want to hear what they have to say. And most of the time when you get these people on their soapboxes like käⱧ Maximus, you're going to see nothing but threats. You're going to see nothing but let me stand up and tell people what I think, and I'm going to take on the world. I don't need anybody. And it's funny, we'll hear from käⱧ Maximus later. He actually, I think, did break into Shadow Radio, but we're not sure. I mean, he's so elite, but we'll listen to that later. But talk a big game and do nothing. That's how to be a fake anonymous. And I have on that photo, rather, that I designed the how to be anonymous, fake anonymous, rather, for dummies. And some of the things that you need to do is learn how to troll on social networks. That's for beginners. Doxing for beginners, your first Intellis account. That means just going to spend $7 or $8 a month to put in somebody's name and get no information anyway. Finding docs and claiming you did it. That means going on the internet, typing in somebody's name, and we can thank John Carroll for doing that. I just doxed Donald Trump. Give me a break. That's just stupid. Announcing to the world that you are an anonymous. Creating a fancy name without research. We can give claps to käⱧ Maximus for that, because if anyone did any research on his name, well, we'll move on. Announcing your operations publicly. There's nothing like being a fake anonymous. Creating a fancy name, of course we got to that. And having no real education. You can see how a lot of fake anons talk when they get on and they make their threats. It's always F this, it's always F that, I'll come after you, I'm going to take down your family, I'm going to take down everything that you have online. Yeah, well, I'm still here, and I've been doxxed thousands of times. I've been told that my site's coming down, I've been told this and that, and you know what? I'm still here telling every single one of you motherfuckers, fuck off with my finger up in your face. You're not going to shut down anything. Let's buy your first DDoS package, your fake DDoS package from others, and then claim you own a botnet. And then finally having no idea how to code anything. And that's how to be a fake anonymous by Shadow. Now, there are lots of real anonymous people out there who basically do their work in the background, and those are the people that I applaud. Those actually take the time to learn code, take the time to learn pen testing, and don't go out there and take everybody else's work. So, time to get to the news. There's lots and lots of things on the news that we have to get to today. But let's play some music here before we get to the news. Let's rock out Shadow Radio.
I'm just a breath away, losing my faith today. Falling off the edge today. I am just a man, not superhuman. I'm not superhuman. Someone save me from the hate. It's just another war, just another family torn. Falling from my feet today. Just a step from the edge. Just another day in the world we live. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero. I need a hero to save my life. A hero will save me. I've gotta fight today to live another day. Speaking my mind today. My voice will be heard today. I've gotta make a stand, but I am just a man. I'm not superhuman. My voice will be heard today. It's just another war, just another family torn. My voice will be heard today. It's just another kill. The countdown begins to destroy ourselves. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero. I need a hero to save my life. A hero will save me. Hero.
Shadow Radio, we're back here, and that was from the soundtrack Boondock Saints Hero, one of my favorite pieces of rock album music, so I hope you enjoyed that. So let's get to the news, a lot to get to. The first thing I want to talk about today when it comes to the news is the Canadian police intercept and read BlackBerry messages. So apparently, Mounties figured out a way to crack BlackBerry system. So imagine for a moment that everybody's front door has the same key. Now imagine that the police have a copy of that key and can saunter into your living room to poke around your belongings while you're out and without your knowledge. By way of metaphor, this is exactly how the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Canada's federal police force, intercepted and decrypted over 1 million BlackBerry messages during an investigation into the mafia slaying called • mě that ran between 2010 and 12. Quote, "So right now, my device, if I'm not on the Business Enterprise Network, I'm a dead chicken." That's the reality of it, and that's what we don't want the general public to know. So while Apple recently fought the U.S. Department of Justice in a court order over whether or not to release these iPhones and create a new software to help unlock terrorist suspects' phone, and has pledged to continue to do so, Canadia's police and device manufacturers have been comparatively silent on the issue. Now, for the first time, Canadians have a clearer picture of how digital surveillance in this country works, at least when it comes to BlackBerry phones, although much is still unknown. The revelations could also spell bad news for BlackBerry. While has struggled financially in years and built its brand on supposed security of its messaging system. So, during the case, witnesses from the RCMP and BlackBerry testified that revealing BlackBerry's encryption key would be, in short, bad for business. So, sorry, BlackBerry. BlackBerry, formerly RIM, encrypts all messages sent between consumer phones known as pin-to-pin or BBM messages using a single global encryption key, which, in my opinion, that's very silly, is to use the same encryption key that's loaded onto every handset during manufacturing. I mean, didn't they think of this? That sooner or later this would be broken and then put customers in a real problem area when it comes to using the same encryption key? I mean, that's just my opinion. As a programmer and a developer, I never would have done something as silly as that. I guess they thought that no one would ever break their encryption. Silly, silly, silly. So, with this one key, and all the messages sent between consumer BlackBerry phones can be decrypted and read. In contrast, Business Enterprise Server allows corporations to use their own encryption key, which not even BlackBerry can access. Well, that's good. According to more than 3,000 pages of court documents pertaining to the case resulted from • mě, obtained by Vice Canada, the RCMP maintains a server in Ottawa that simulates a mobile device that receives a message intended for the rightful recipient. In an affidavit, RCMP Sergeant Patrick Boismar states that the server performs the decryption of the message using the appropriate decryption key. The defiance of the case surmised that the RCMP must have used the correct global encryption key, since any attempt to apply a key other than BlackBerry's own global encryption would have resulted in a garbled mess. Well, that's obvious. According to the judge, all parties, including the Crown, agree that the RCMP would have had the correct global key when it decrypted the message during the investigation. So that's about BlackBerry in Canada. Way to go, Canadians. Very good hacking there. Next story we want to move on to is the hackers can spy on your calls and track location using just your phone number. This story was released April 18th of 2016 by 께Ⱨ餓ᴆ텀을. Now, I've been telling everybody in the information security community on Google Plus that this has been able to be done, rather, for a very, very long time. And now it's just coming out, and we're going to read a couple stories that pertain to that. So, in brief, the famous 60 Minutes television show shocked some viewers Sunday when a team of German hackers demonstrated how they spied on an iPhone used by U.S. congressman and then recorded his phone calls and tracked his movement through Los Angeles. Hackers leveraged a security flaw in SS7, which stands for Signaling System 7 protocol, that allows hackers to track the phone locations, listen in on calls, and text messages. So the global telecom network SS7 is still vulnerable to several security flaws that could let hackers spy agencies listen to personal phone calls and intercept SMS messages on a potentially massive scale, despite the most advanced encryption used by cellular networks. Now, this is common now. In light of the NSA attacks, or rather NSA spying on U.S. citizens in the world, more so, this can't come as a surprise to everyone listening to the show or anyone in the information security community. All one needs is a target's phone number to track him or her anywhere on the planet and even eavesdrop on the conversation. The SS7, or Signal Systems Number 7, is a telephony signal protocol used by more than 8 600 telecommunication operators around the world to exchange information with one another, cross-carrier billing, enable roaming, and other features. So just to enlighten, or rather elaborate on how the hacker spied on the U.S. Congressman's cell phone, with U.S. Congressman mě, permissions for the piece broadcast Sunday night on 60 Minutes, Carsten Nohl of German, that's Carsten Nohl, N-O-H-L, of German Security Research Labs, was able to intercept his iPhone recorded calls made on his phone to a reporter and track the precise location in real time. So during the phone call about the cell phone network hacking, Lou said, "First, it's really creepy, and second, it makes me angry. Last year, the President of the United States called me on my phone, and we discussed some issues he had. So if hackers were listening in, they know the phone conversation, and that's immensely troubling," says the congressman. What's more awful is that the designing flaws in SS7 have been in circulation. I'm going to say this again, have been in circulation since 2014. So this is 2 years that anyone potentially could have listened to phone calls from anyone, I guess just using their iPhone. Interesting. When the German research team alerted the world to it, some flaws were patched, but few apparently remain or intentionally left, as some observers argue, for governments to snoop on its targets. So it's my opinion, obviously, these were known about this. These flaws were known by most government spying agencies. That's my opinion, and was never made public. We can pretty much understand, what a benefit that would be to spying agencies. The major problem with SS7 is that if any of the telecom operators is hacked or employs a rogue admin, a large scale of information, including voice calls, text messages, billing information, relaying metadata and subscriber data, is wide open to interception. Now, most of us who do InfoSec knew this, but no one would listen. So apparently, if you're a German researcher, who knows, I'm not even going to do that. The weakness affects all phones, whether it's iOS, Android, or whatever, and is a major security issue. Although the network operators are unwilling or unable to patch the hole, there is little that smartphone users can do. I'm going to get to my top 10 security secrets by Shadow here later in the show that tells you what you can do to get rid of this problem. How can you avoid this attack? According to this, the best mitigation is to use communication apps that offer end-to-end encryption to encrypt your data before it leaves your smartphone over your phone's standard calling feature. Well, I don't think that there's going to be an end-to-end encryption that can really do this. I mean, we saw BlackBerry for years, touting that its encryption services couldn't be broken. Well, we know if anyone says end-to-end encryption and this is the way to solve it, we already know that that's a load of malarkey. So, Lou, who sits on the House subcommittees for Information Technology and National Security, also argues for strong encryption that, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, make it harder to solve crimes. I am so tired of hearing about government agencies saying it's harder to solve crimes. Well, if we take a look at some statistical analysis and statistical data, government agencies solving crimes, we'll see that encryption doesn't really stop you from solving crimes. We've seen so many crimes be solved without even technology back, in the 60s and the 70s before this stuff was even relevant. We know now what goes on when it comes to this. This idea is that as stronger encryption goes, this is my opinion again, it just makes it more difficult for them to spy on you. And that's the truth. Lou strongly criticizes the United States agencies, if any, that may have ignored such serious vulnerabilities that affect billions of cellular customers. Well, this is nothing new. Those who listen to Shadow Radio know that every time that this thing comes up, that's just another kick in the pants for the security agencies, rather the spying agencies they don't want you to know about. The people who knew about this flaw or flaws should be fired, Lou said on the show. You can't have 300-some million Americans and really the global citizenry be at risk for having their cell phone conversations intercepted with a known flaw simply because some intelligence agency might get some data. Well, as we know, the NSA has been doing this for a long time, and perhaps they may have been using this flaw, perhaps not. But few of such apps that are popular and offers end-to-end encryption are Signal, WhatsApp, and Apple's iMessage service that keep user communication safe from prying eyes and ears. I don't agree with this. I don't think that there is any application on iOS or application on Apple or any application whatsoever in the world is not going to put you in good graces with keeping prying eyes out of your data. That's just nonsense. It's not going to happen. The only real way to do this is to design your own encryption, perhaps use some kind of VRM encryption. And those of you who are into the information security, you'll know what I mean. It's just a one-stop shop or one-pad key that's only used once. So, that's the story on that. So, as I said, we can go into this. German researchers have discovered security flaws that let hackers spy. We already know this. The flaws discovered by German researchers are actually functions built into SS7. So I just wanted to reiterate that for a little bit. It's like you secure the front door in the house, but back door is wide open, said käⱧฐ์堯from the German researchers. So that's that story. So, just to round up that whole story, pretty much anyone can listen to your conversations. And like I said, I'll reiterate that we knew that for such a long time. The next story that we're going to have to look at here is Microsoft sues the U.S. government over unconstitutional secret data requests. Okay, now give me a break. So Apple and the United States government just a short while ago was into this whole government thing, and now we have Microsoft wanting to put itself into the spotlight doing the same thing. So Microsoft is suing the Department of Justice to protest the gag order that prevents technology companies from telling their customers when their cloud data is handed over to the authorities. This is just a bunch of nonsense and bullshit. The bullshit gets deep. It goes every time. Telling them they can already get into them. With X Keyscore and all these NSA programs, it's ridiculous. This is what this is what happens when stories come out and they try to convince the public that governments can't see your data. They can see your data. They've been able to see your data post 9/11. In layman's terms, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, the ECPA, allows the government to issue gag orders saying that the people in the companies involved in the legal case cannot talk about the case and relate it to the public. Nonsense. This is just another diversion. If anybody read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, one of my favorite books, you can always see what happens when something big comes out. It's divert the attention from what's really going on, divide and conquer, and this is what happens constantly on the news and the global media. Who's pulling the strings? We all know. Microsoft has filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice, arguing that it is unconstitutional. And listen to this, Microsoft talking about what's unconstitutional and what's constitutional. I don't think any corporate conglomerate in this country knows what the word unconstitutional means. Okay? We all know that Microsoft's backdoored. We all know this. At least some of us know this. We all know that Apple's been backdoored for a while. And there's that idea of backdoor and exploit. They're one and the same. When you can exploit and get into a system, there's people who've told me, well, it's not a backdoor. Well, yeah, it is. As a programmer, they're not ultimately too different. So according to Microsoft, the company has received nearly 2,600 gag orders. Who cares? Microsoft said about 70% of all gag orders received by the company had no fixed end date, which means that the company can never tell its users, even after the completion of the investigation. So, quote, while today's lawsuit is important, we believe there's an opportunity for the Department of Justice to adopt a new policy that sets reasonable limitations on the use of these types of secrecy orders, Brad said. The gag orders are meant to protect nation investigations, but the U.S. government is misusing it to carry out unconstitutional secret data searches without ever telling the people. Well, holy shitballs, that's a surprise. Just like Apple, it is important for Microsoft to fight and win this battle for protecting users' privacy as well as their reputation. This story does absolutely nothing but divert your attention from the government can also already see everything that you do. This is what I call a filler story. Divert the attention of everyone who uses these devices to try to get them behind Microsoft. Screw Microsoft, screw Apple, and screw everybody else and every other company who's going to sit there and tell us American people who don't know any better that we can't get into your stuff or we're secure. Microsoft's the most unsecure operating system in the history of technology. Fuck that, I'm moving on. Google makes it mandatory on this next story for Chrome apps to tell users what data they collect. So, in brief, Chrome apps are extensions that make things easier, but they can also do terrible things like spy on web users and collect their personal data. But now, Google has updated its browser's user data policy, requiring all Chrome extensions and app developers to disclose what data they collect. Well, who gets the data then? You have Google here requiring developers to do this, and then they take the data anyway. So this is just another way for Google to get more of your data. Furthermore, developers are prohibited from collecting unnecessary browsing data and must also use encryption when handling sensitive information from users. Yeah, like we've seen developers over these last 10 years use these special data handling service. We have, Visa and Target, some of the largest, credit card processors and some of the largest store chains having billions of records of consumer data and allowing it to be taken over by hackers. So I'm sure that the everyday Google app developer is going to know how to do this when we can't even secure our customer data of billions and billions who shop every day. Next on the agenda, around 40% of all Google Chrome users have some kind of browser extension, plug-in, or add-ons. But how safe are they? Asks the story. The company plans to enforce developers starting this summer of 2016 to ensure transparent use of the data in a way that is consistent with the wishes and expectations of the users. If Google gave a damn about your privacy, ladies and gentlemen, they would have not looked at every single email that you write. They would have not sell your data to every third-party consumer advocacy group that, sells your data to everyone else in order to sell you more shit that you don't need. Google is making Chrome Web Store safer for its users. Bullshit. I'm not even going to read the rest of that sentence. Google's new user data policy will now force app developers who use the Chrome Web Store to distribute their products to be more transparent. Yeah, be more transparent to Google, but not to you. That's the only thing it's doing, is making making it more easy for Google to grab that data and then sell it some more. This is getting worse as Facebook. In other words, the company wants its Chrome users to know what's happening when they use third-party apps and services that rely on its browser. Yeah, right. According to Google, protecting our users is our key priority, and we believe this change will make sure... Oh, come on. Google does not care about your privacy. It never did. Here's a list of new requirements for developers. Be transparent about the handling of users' data. Post a privacy policy. Ask users to consent. Oh, well, for the most ideas of population, people are just going to click that agree anyway. Nobody reads anything anymore. Besides this, developers are also restricted from collecting users' web browsing activity that is not all required by their apps. Oh, bull. People are going to collect their stuff no matter what. Google has already started notifying app developers about the change in its privacy policy and giving them 3 months now to comply. From July 15, 2016, any app or extension that violates any of the requirements mentioned above will be discarded from the Chrome Web Store. So the only way to be restored will be to comply with the new practices. So that's that story. Moving on to something a little bit amusing. So the FBI director also puts tape over his webcam. What do you do to protect your privacy while using your computer? Well, FBI Director James Comey uses tape to cover up his laptop webcam to ensure privacy. Oh, well, that's a great thing, Director FBI James Comey. Well, what about the microphone that's turned on that can hear you talk? So, what about that? I think the FBI really needs some people to come in and teach them what security really is. Now, I don't want to get into a fight with the FBI. That's just a stupid statement. Hey, let's cover up our laptop cameras there with things. Let's not forget about the microphone that anybody can turn on at any time. Yes, you heard it right. During a Q&A session at Kenton College last week, Comey said that he uses tape to cover his laptop webcam in order to mitigate the danger of secret surveillance. While giving a speech about encryption and privacy, Comey repeated his argument that absolute privacy hampers the law enforcement has never existed in America until now, when by default encryption ordered by big tech giants created boundaries where law enforcement can't enter. Well, come on. Doesn't anybody deserve their privacy anymore? Pretty soon they're going to have mandatory cameras in everybody's bathroom to see what color their urine is. The iPhone's next app's going to come out with a breathalyzer and give a drop of blood to make sure that they have their DNA on file. Not to mention the new thumbprints that's going to be on all Apple devices that they give over to the government. Anyway, this isn't the first time Comey made this kind of statement, but after his speech, Comey said something that generated hilarity on social media. I quote, "I saw something in the news, so I copied it. I put a piece of tape. I have obviously a laptop, personal laptop. I put a piece of tape over the camera because I saw somebody smarter than I am, had a piece of tape over their webcams." So, somebody smarter than he is putting tape over their webcam. but forgetting about the microphone. Comey's worry about webcam is reasonable, which I agree. Putting tape over your webcam perhaps may be reasonable, especially if you're running a Windows system. That's absolutely necessary. But especially when Federal Bureau of Investigation itself has used malware to hack into webcams to spy on targets. Well, see, I think this is just a farce. Having him go on there and talk about putting stuff over that's ridiculous. Hey, why don't we just go back and talk about all the people that you spied on, FBI, and I don't have anything against crime solving or anything, but don't do it at the expense of everyone's privacy. Come on. So why is he having a double standard for his own privacy, the ACLU asks? Well, ACO Chief Technologist chéⱧ żaᴆtom‑mất has a good example. I quote, FBI Director Comey has created a warrant-proof webcam that will thwart lawful surveillance should he ever be investigated. Shame on him, Suggerlin tweeted. So it's always the double standard. It's always what you can get people to believe. If you could put out a story and get people to believe that putting a piece of tape over your webcam will give them absolute security, well, shame on you. The Edward Snowden leaks revealed that the NSA's optic nerve project that carried out to capture webcam images every 5 minutes from random Yahoo users. In just 6 months, 1.8 million users, images were captured and stored on the government servers in 2008. Now, this is 2008. It's 8 years ago. And all of a sudden we have the FBI director putting a piece of tape over his webcam. I wonder if he had a piece of tape over his webcam in 2008. 2008. The thought of putting tape over your lens of your webcam will not stop hackers or government spy agencies from recording your voice. Wow, I just said that and I didn't even read that. At least this would prevent them from watching or capturing your live visual feeds. Well, that's that story. I think I picked up some things there, and actually, before I got to the end of the story, noticed, at least made everybody aware of the webcam. And the problem is that Windows gives you no control over really disabling your microphone, or at least to the point of allowing it to be disabled remotely. The only way really is to just have a computer without a webcam and have a computer or laptop without a microphone. Now again, everybody has their iPhones and their smartphones sitting right next to them anyway, so who cares if you don't have a laptop with a microphone? They'll just listen in on your regular phone. So that's my contention. Next story I wanted to talk about here that we talked about on the information security community is Windows 10's blue screen of death now has a QR code. I don't think that I'm happy about this, but then again, it's a double-edged sword. If you are a Microsoft Windows user, you may have encountered the infamous blue screen, BSOD. The blue screen of death generally appears when Windows encounters a critical error due to software-hardware issues, displaying a sad face and no more information than your PC ran into a problem. However, the company is apparently giving its infamous blue screen death a makeover. Well, first off, I have to comment that saying having a QR code on the blue screen of death would actually mean that a computer actually breaks so many times that they have to have a QR code. So, ironically, that's a double-edged sword. Also, it perhaps may help the company Microsoft fix those problems on a little bit faster basis or more quickly. But then again, Microsoft has never fixed things very quickly. But you'll have to make your own decision on that. But Microsoft is adding a QR code in Windows 10 that will make it easier for users to identify potential issues with their devices. The new QR codes are featured in Redmond's last Windows 10 preview, build 14316, which will debut in summer as the Windows 10 anniversary update. So there's a must-read step-by-step tutorial to run Ubuntu on the latest Windows. Listen, people, don't do this, okay? Do not ever run a kind of Linux version on Windows or anything. I've told you this before. I've told everyone this before. Just get rid of Windows and learn Linux or something where at least you have some more control over your operating system. The top two operating systems that have bugs that have consistently have been accessible by remote bugs, malware, and all the stuff is Windows and Apple systems, But then again, you don't have to take my word for it. Now, that's not to say before anyone comes up to me and says, well, Linux is susceptible to flaws. Well, yeah, they are, but they give you an easier way and a more control over to find out what they're doing. A closed source operating system really doesn't give you much control. At least if I'm running a Linux version, it can give me control in order to find things more quickly, as I can study them rather than them just being into the system. Though the change is not groundbreaking, rather, it will surely benefit millions of Windows 10 users whose hearts stop for a while when their screen goes blue. Well, I got some M80s and half sticks of dynamite that will completely stop Windows from making that stuff happen. Microsoft Anniversary Update Windows 10 will bring lots of new features, including the Ubuntu file system. Oh, what? Steal more stuff from Linux? Oh, man. How many of you think the BSOD or QR codes would be useful? Let me know. Posting on information security. So here we move on. The British authorities order hacker Lori Love to hand over encryption keys. The National Crime Agency of the United Kingdom is forcing a British citizen, a political activist, Lori Love, accused of hacking, to hand over encryption keys to equipment seized from her home. Wow, boy, I can really relate to this. Love is 31, is currently fighting extradition to the United States, where he faces up to 99 years in prison for allegedly hacking into the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, NASA, and Federal Reserve Bank of New York during 2012 and 13. Wow, that's a big that's a big list of accolades, Mr. Love. U.S. prosecutors claim that Love was allegedly involved in Op Last Resort. Now remember, Op Last Resort. Now we talked about this before. Anonymous people or whatnot posting ops, in public view for everyone. Now, I guarantee you, if this was taken to the, if this was, you took some consideration of not posting these things publicly, that, you probably may have gotten away with it. And I understand the idea behind doing this, but this is a hard road, an uphill battle. An online protest linked with the Anonymous group, which was Op Last Resort, following the persecution and ultimately death of the activist Aaron Swartz, who committed suicide in 2013 while under federal charges for data theft. Now, I don't understand one thing. How can the NSA steal all this data from every country in the world and still get away with it while we have some poor schmuck like Adam Schwartz, getting some data from places to try to figure out what the hell's going on and what the truth is, yet commit suicide, Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Love was initially arrested from his home in Hall, England, in October 2013 by the NSA, NCA, and had criminal charges filed against him in New York, East Virginia, and New Jersey. During a court hearing at Westminster, magistrates on Tuesday, the NCA representatives asked the district judge to order Love to disclose passwords to his encrypted computer. I wouldn't do it. In an effort to obtain data from the seized computers, the agency previously attempted to compel Love to hand over his encryption keys and passwords under Section 49 of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act, RIPA 2000, but was failed after his refusal. The RIPA order expired with no further consequences to Love. The latest attempt to force Love to hand over his encryption keys came after Love, who is on bail, launched a legal action against the agency to force it to return. Well, after the hearing, Love said NCA was holding his property to ransom, adding, "It has not just revealed its devices that cost money, and I do not have a lot of money, so..." Wow, this is very interesting. People taking your equipment and not charging you. Understand, I can relate to that one. So let's move on. This story just makes me sick. I would really take this information if I was this guy. I don't even really want to comment on that. Move on. Anti-encryption bill released, and this is a really big thing. Anti-encryption bill released. It would kill your privacy and security. So this is a big story. The United States anti-encryption bill will kill your privacy, like our privacy isn't killed now. Here's another way of diverting your attention. In the wake of the Apple versus FBI case, 2 leading Intelligence Committee senators have introduced an anti-encryption bill that would effectively ban strong encryption. Senator Richard Burr and Dianne Feinstein released the official version of their bill today in response to concerns that criminals and terrorists are increasingly using encrypted devices to hide their plans and plots from authorities. Well, it's not just terrorists and criminals that hide their information from privacy. Now, here's a prime example. Let's just say you and your wife decide to make a video of your intimate times. This is your right, and this is your right to be private about that. It's your right to encrypt it. It's your right to keep it from prying eyes. It's your right to keep it from the government, and it's your right to keep it from your neighbors. Who are these people trying to kid? And this is just another way of instilling fear in everybody else. We've been seeing this fear stuff instilled in the American public. Everything's a terrorist attack. There's a terrorist around every corner. Shut the fuck up. People are tired of it. The draft copy of the Bre-Feinstein proposal was leaked last week, which has already faced heavy criticism both the technology and legislative committees. Even the White House has declined to support the bill. Well, that's a good thing. But let's just see what really happens. The official version of the anti-encryption bill seems to be even worse than the discussion draft. The draft proposed that the orders can only be issued for crimes resulting in death or serious bodily harm, terrorism or espionage, federal drug crimes, crimes against minors, or severe violent felonies. Now, let me say this. If that's what this bill would be used for, that would be all well and fine. Now, we know there's such a load of hogwash and bullshit that this stuff will not be used against just these crimes. Anytime that you give a human being who belongs to the government or anything the ability to decrypt and take information from you, they will abuse it. We have seen this time and time again, and everybody's tired of hearing your bullshit. However, the official version of the bill permits federal agencies to access the data they want under court order. Yeah, just like the NSA, got court orders to access everybody's information in the United States. Give me a break. Everybody knows this is nonsense. No individual or company is above the law. That says it's no individual or company is above the law. That's what the next statement in this article says. But we all know this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit. No individual company is above the law except the NSA, except the FBI, and except everybody else who pries their nose. Everything. This country is nothing but a peeping Tom. Not the country. The people who abuse the taking of information and abuse people's privacy are nothing but a bunch of goddamn peeping Toms. The new bill would apply device manufacturers, electronic communication services, software manufacturers, remote communication services, providers of remote communication services. Well, I'll tell you what. I will never, ever have my data decrypted whatever to the point where it's insecure. I will encrypt my data until the time that I die, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it. That's plain and simple, point blank, period. You're never going to make me ever make my data insecure so you can read it. Fuck you. The senators say the underlying goal of the bill is simple. When there's a court order to render technical assistance to law enforcement or provide decrypted information, that court order is carried out. Nope. Not in my government backdoor in every phone. So that's the next one. Privacy advocates are worried the possible effects of the bill. If it's successfully passed, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, the bill is clear threat to everyone's privacy and security. I see how they do this. It's a clear threat. Well, the NSA is a clear threat to everybody's privacy and security. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit here and say that the NSA is all bad. But when you give these kind of people the power to do whatever they want with anybody's information without ever having to answer to anyone, that is a big issue. Now, we've seen this time and time again, and just nothing is changing, and nothing will change unless people start to get up and call it for what it is. MIT builds artificial intelligence systems that can detect 85% of cyber attacks. Well, in brief, what if we could predict when a cyber attack is going to occur before it actually happens and prevent it? Isn't it a revolutionary idea for internet security? Well, perhaps. But then again, we look at false positives. Us as programmers and us as pen testers, we come across a lot of false positives. So the idea is, well, what happens when it does detect this? Does it shut down? Does it, get into your system? Does it do things to cut your connection? Or what does it do? Is it that invasive? Who knows? That's my opinion. Security researchers at MIT have developed a new artificial intelligence-based cybersecurity platform called A12, or AI2 rather, which has the ability to predict, detect, and stop 85% of cyber attacks with high accuracy. Well, I haven't seen any data on this, so I am not going to comment whether or not that this is accurate or not. But I can guarantee you that no one on the public has access to this system. This is just another system that the government or whomever, the bad government. I keep saying the government, but let me make it very clear that I am against the bad people in the government. I am against the bad people who exploit their positions, and I am against the criminals in the government, not the government itself. There's a lot of good people out there in the government who want change but are silenced. Cybersecurity is a major challenge in today's world as government agencies, corporations, and individuals. Well, we heard this 1,000 times. Yeah, cybersecurity this, cybersecurity that. Well, it used to be terrorist attacks. Now it's going to be cybersecurity, where they're going to use all these cybersecurity ideas. They can do this, they can do that in order to get legislation passed in order to more spy on your shit. The team has already developed an artificial intelligence system that can detect 85%. Who cares? What about the 15% that's going to get through? People are just not going to use or do the attacks that are the 85%. They're going to develop new and more invasive cyber attacks. I hate that word, cyber attacks, that are going to bypass the 85% that they can detect. Technology hacking and every kind of pen testing is evolving every day. Now, the artificial intelligence system, I don't know how fast it's going to be able to detect these new threats that come up with cybersecurity. Now, what I'm curious to know is if this artificial intelligence system developed has any idea of how to protect countries from infrastructure attacks. That would be something interesting that I want to do some research. But how does the AI tool work? The system first scans the content with unsupervised machine learning techniques, and then at the end of the day presents its findings to human analysts. The human analyst then identifies which events are actual cyber attacks and which aren't. The feedback is then incorporated into the machine learning system of AI2 and is used the next day for analyzing. So this is built on of previous data. So I mean, this almost looks like a simple Fibonacci sequence where we have number lists built up on previous data. The more data it analyzes, the more accurate it can become. Well, I don't know. The more data it analyzes, the more accurate it becomes. That's a discussion for another show. In a test, the team demonstrated that the AI2 is roughly 3 times better than simpler automated cyber attack detection systems used today. It also reduces the number of false positives by a factor of 5, which I didn't even get to the end of this article and they're already talking about false positives. So at least I'm on the same wavelength as some of these. There is a video demonstration there on the Hacker News. I suggest you look at it, make your own decisions, but according to Ře∞, a computer scientist professor at Notre Dame University, AI2 continuously generates new models that it can redefine as little as a few hours, meaning it can improve its detection rates significantly and rapidly. Now, until we start seeing some data, I'm going to take the high road on this, and I'm going to say I don't know if this is going to work yet or not. We don't really see the code. We don't really see anything out there except people saying that it can do this. And until I see some statistics, until I see some real data coming from this, I really don't put any weight into this. So let's see how the AI2 helps create the internet a safer place and how long it would take to be implemented into large-scale security platforms in the near future. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going on with that. And the last story on here in the news, this story was released March 10th, 2015 by Jeremy Scahill. We all knew who Jeremy Scahill is. If you don't know, read up. The CIA campaign to steal Apple's secrets. So, researchers working with a Central Intelligence Agency have conducted a multi-year sustained effort to break the security of Apple's iPhones and iPads, according to top secret documents obtained by The Intercept. The security researchers presented their latest tactics and achievements at the secret annual gathering called Jamboree, where attendees discussed strategies for exploiting security flaws in household and commercial electronics. Well, the CIA, of course, has declined to comment. So security researchers also claimed that they had created a modified version of Apple's proprietary software development toolkit, Xcode, which could sneak surveillance backdoors into any apps or programs created using the tool. Xcode, which is distributed by Apple to hundreds and thousands of developers, is used to create apps that are sold through Apple's App Store. The modified version of Xcode, the researchers claimed, could enable spies to steal passwords and grab messages of infected devices. So I think it's my opinion that the CIA causes world havoc. Who knows? If U.S. products are okay to target, then that's news to me, says Matthew Green, a cryptography expert at Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute. Tearing apart the products of the U.S. manufacturers are potentially putting backdoors in software distributed by unknowing developers. All seem to be going a bit beyond targeting bad guys. It may be a means to an end, but it's a hell of a means. Apple declined to comment for the story, instead pointing to previous comments, Cook and the company. Well, after all these news stories, that's it. You're listening to Shadow Radio, and what's my opinion on all this stuff? It's divert, it's, store stuff in here, tell people, they're secure, tell people Apple's secure, tell people Microsoft's secure, and then every time you read, they're not secure. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, information security professionals, the shit is not secure. It's not secure. Apple isn't secure, iPhone isn't secure, and Microsoft isn't secure, and they never will be as long as they are in league with the government or governments whose final goal is to spy on everything you do. Shadow Radio, that's the news. Let's listen to some music.
Worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And to feel the way that every child should sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. The people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Enlarging your world. Mad world.
Shadow Radio, we're back. That was Gary Jules with Mad World. And we're going to move on here to the next segment of the show. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Houston, we have a problem.
He did say it.
This is Pontifex Maximus. I have broken into Shadow Radio to show you how lit I am. Bring it. You ain't got shit on me but that dick hole you call a mouth. I'll come for everything you have online. You can expect that. You're a fed fuck boy and we all know it. Fuck you and your threats. Bitch, come get some. Fuck prison, motherfucker. Bet you won't step out from behind those shadows and get that head beat in a boxing ring. You pussy ass motherfucker. Where is the link to my supposed Facebook account? I'm on the IRC, asshole. Where's my docs, bitch? I don't need a fucking name to know what the fuck you assholes are up to. Get the fuck out of my com too, you shit starting bitch. And yes, I am Joey from the movie Hackers.
Shit, we've been hacked. Shit, get the signal back. Get the signal back. Pontifex is hacking our... Shit. Whew. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We actually reacquired the signal here. Apparently, Pontifex Maximus hacked us with his Chromebook using Netstat. So we apologize for the inconvenience. We apologize for the momentary lapse of radio broadcast, but we're back, Shadow Radio here, and we're going to move on to the next section. Hopefully we've updated our systems. We've upgraded to Windows 10, so hopefully now we can't be hacked by Pontifex Maximus. So let's go ahead and move on. So next thing I want to do here, ladies and gentlemen, is talk about some of the top 10 security secrets by Shadow. I wanted to put this out there because there's some things that I do on a daily basis that, kind of helps you with security. Number 10, always use virtual machines when you're pen testing, when you're using Metasploit or anything like that. If you use that program, if you're testing any viruses, always use a virtual machine. Never do this on your host machine. And always make a backup, rather a cloned image of your operating system when you're using virtual machines, VirtualBox. That's a great thing. Number 9, check, and recheck if your home router is exploitable. Most of the routers that we get or that you can buy at name brand stores are almost always exploitable to the point, and you can read a lot about this on the internet. Number 8 is do not use Windows. Just don't do it. If you don't know how to use another operating system, then you better figure it out, because it's just getting worse and worse and worse every single day. In fact of the matter is, don't use Apple either. Number 7 is don't use a smartphone. Try to get yourself away from using them smartphones. Them smartphones are probably the worst security flaws, has the worst security flaws in the history of anything. Number 6 is change your home IP regularly. I mean, if you don't know how to do this, there's many ways. Much information out there on the internet that tells you how to do this, so change it regularly. You know what I mean? Most of the time, home routers, whatnot, have DHCP, so that means that it's going to use the same IP address as long as the lease is there. Always use VPN as number 5. Always use some kind of point-to-point encryption, rather. Always use VPN or something along those lines. And number 4 is never store your passwords in plain text. Always encrypt. GPG is a wonderful utility to do that. Number 3 is don't ever use Wi-Fi on your home computer, your computer that you do most of your work on. Don't use Wi-Fi, just wire it. It's just safer. Turn off Wi-Fi on your routers, things like that. Those are some interesting things that you can do. Number 2, do not type your password into your keyboard. So if you're logging in to any system, 1, don't save your passwords in your browser, and 2, don't type them in with your keyboard. A lot of times people have wireless keyboards, and it's so easy to steal those passwords right from the thin air. Encrypt your passwords in a password file, copy and paste them, and then clear your clipboard memory. Number 1, do not use the cloud or auto backup systems by anybody. That goes for Apple, that goes for Samsung, that goes for any company that offers to automatically back up and encrypt your data. Just don't do it. Buy yourself a drive, any kind of drive, back it up and encrypt it. Those are Shadow's top 10 security secrets. I hope you enjoyed them. This next segment here on Shadow Radio, I want to give a little bit of love to the community. That's right, just a little bit of love. So we have the top 10 information security contributors here. If you hear your name here, excellent. I try to find the persons or people with the most posts. And first we're going to start off with InfoSec1. InfoSec1, we really do appreciate all the things that you post on the information security community. Shadow Radio says thank you. And we also like to send you out a big Shadow hug, because we saw what Pontifex Maximus did to you after you were trying to keep the peace. So, you know what? If I had the little clap thing, if I had the little clap sound effect, I would put it on here. So don't worry, buddy. You're always welcome at InfoSec and Shadow's government. The next here, number 2, is Guido Stepkin. Thanks for posting all your information stuff on there. Great. You actually interact quite frequently with some of our posts on there, so I thank you very much. The next one, of course, is Luna Blitz. Luna Blitz has been with us for a long time, posting some great stories and making some great, interesting comments on there. I have to give, by the way, one of the best commenters we have on here is WebWolf. WebWolf also all the time brings up some interesting points that actually makes me think, and that's what the community is all about, is trying to make people think. The Watcher, you know what, buddy? I love you to death, but it's very rare that you comment on the post. I think that I can count the Watcher actually just plussing every single one of my posts since the beginning of time. So the Watcher, thanks for just plussing my post, but let's get a little more interactivity out of it. Let's post some more things on it. Let's post some comments. So wonderful. And you're not alone. Joseph Domain, pardon me, does the same thing. So I think perhaps Joseph Domain is taking a few rules out of the playbook from the Watcher by just plussing everything that I do. Don't worry, it's all about love, guys. Dean Ritz is on the next one, posting some great comments too. So I wanted to make sure that we gave Dean Ritz a nice shout out. And of course, my boy in the military, Green Boomerang, Weenie, one of my favorite military men. Hope your hand heals pretty soon. You got to stop fapping all the time. You know what I mean? Mahadi Rayoff, great posts out there for security. And finally, Bryant Nakamura, who's been laying off on the posts a little bit. But that's your Shadow Top 10 Information Technology Contributors, Shadow Radio. Maybe we should listen to some more music. I'm debating whether or not to listen to some more music. But I did want to say one thing about the comment by ćeⱧżežtemkín. When we were talking about the artificial intelligence system that can detect 85%, he put an interesting comment up there. At 50% of all attacks, the system will fail. That's an inner paradox, says ćeⱧżežtemkín. So that's a really, really interesting point. What if hackers then only do these 15%? I think I mentioned that earlier in the show, but I think we covered quite a bit now. We're almost at an hour, so I think we're going to hold off on the whole drama update thing. We all know what happened. We all were reading the post, so I don't think there's really any need to reiterate some of the nonsense. I think the only thing that I will say regarding that drama stuff is we all know John Carroll's a fool, freaking idiot. We know Pontifex is just a fool and an idiot. So, I mean, that's just pretty much what happened. Of course, the top four morons that we have here are Pontifex, Nucitelli, Brian White Knight Williams, and, of course, John Carroll. So those are the four morons of Google Plus at this point. But we're going to knock off and I hear that music coming on. Catch us next time on Shadow Radio. We're out of here.